All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Uh, Markets still pushing down, still moving negative. All across the world now, actually. Japan, Hong Kong. What's the other one? They're all dropping. They're all dropping. Economic turmoil across the world. All right. Welcome here to New York session. We trade live in our trading challenge through Top Step every morning. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. For those of you that have already subscribed, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Our channel still continues to grow at a very, very nice pace, something that I was not expecting at all, but am very grateful for. So thank you all for supporting me and the channel. I appreciate all of you. We have some tough times ahead of us, I think. Talks of recession, not only here in the US, but a global recession um, because of the tariffs, supposedly. I made a video last night. You guys check that out if you haven't watched it already. It's a Sunday weekly outlook, which I'm going to try to do every Sunday for you guys. And in that video, I talk about an interesting point of view that everything that's happening right now is all being done on purpose and for specific reasons. And I talk about that in that video, in length. So if you guys are interested in that opinion, go watch that video. It's pretty good, I think, and it's a good point of view. It's something very different from what the norm is out there right now. That this is just bad choices, terrible, wanting to purposely destroy that, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a very different and more optimistic point of view as to why all of these things are happening right now. So, and I kind of like to be a little bit more optimistic than I do uh, not. So and it makes sense. So, if you guys are interested in hearing what that is, go check out that video. It was posted last night. It's a Sunday weekly outlook. Weekly outlook. It's a good move. Good video. Good video. I think. All right. So we are officially in bear market territory. We have pushed further into bear market territory after markets opened last night. We are starting to make a little bit of a bounce. As you can see here, switch over to the 15 real quick. You can see how we opened and pushed down further. We came down to our lows here, a little bit of sideways trading, retested these lows here, and now we are pushing a little bit higher. I don't know if that's going to continue, but we shall see, right? We do have some important data coming out this week. We have CPI, we have PPI, we have FOMC minutes. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of news over tariffs all this week. President Trump has a whole bunch of meetings and announcements this week with other countries. He did come out and say over the weekend that 50 countries have reached out to negotiate over the tariffs. If that's true, it's good, as long as the negotiations can come out um, well, right? So we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts. We'll see if we get any changes. Um, See if we get any reprieve from any of them. Although both Trump and his office have stated multiple times over the weekend that the tariffs are going to stay unless the countries change theirs, right? Stock market is down now. Let's take a little look here. We are down now about 25, almost 26% from all-time highs. You can see there. So we are definitely and officially in bear market territory. And I think the S&P is just about to. The Dow went first. NASDAQ on Friday, we officially pushed into bear market territory. And I believe that the S&P is pretty close. Pretty close. So let's see how much more downside we have, if any. Do we get a little bounce here? Or do we trade sideways for the time being? I am, oh, hello. I am, um, what? Can you leave the microphone alone? Okay, thank you. Cool, great. It's my trading mascot. Um, I am hopefully one or two trades away from completing this challenge here, halfway through at the moment. And with everything going on in the markets, uh, you know, and all this stuff, I'm going to be very, very choosy this week because I want to pass this challenge here, and I know that the markets are all messed up right now. This is not normal, and so trading is going to be a little bit more difficult than usual. And so I'm going to take my time and really focus on trying to pick very, very specific trades so that I can pass this challenge here. And if that means I don't take trades for the next couple days while all this stuff settles down, I am okay with that. I'm in no rush. But what I don't want to do is go backwards. So it might be a little bit boring to watch this week. I'll try to keep it as entertaining as I can for you guys, but I've never been this close to passing a challenge before, and I don't want to get greedy or uh, over positive or whatever, and then end up going backwards. So we're going to be very, very, very picky. And this particular market is not the greatest market to be halfway through a challenge. Huh. I need my hands here, you know? Okay. Can you go lay in the bed? Thanks. She enjoys trading with me every morning. Okay. So a little bit of, I don't even want to really call it choppiness, just maybe some indecision going on here. Came down, retested these lows here. Getting a little bounce off of that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult too, I think, to kind of figure out what the sentiment is. Reading, articles and stuff this morning, there's arguments made for both continued downside and then also a little rally. And quite honestly, I don't even know if the market really knows what it wants to do, right? According to our Top Step platform here, 62% of the users are short. I know that's actually for um, the S&P. For the NASDAQ, 55% are short. So I mean, it's 50-50, right? This is so undecided. We just bumped up to 65% short. And what's our average here? Average short price 16,830. Yeah, right around here is the average short. This general area. We'll see. So you can see we're retesting the lows from back here. Just kind of a little bit of some support here. If we do move past these lows here, then we're most likely heading back down to lows of the day. So that makes sense. Yep, there we go. We are pushing through here. Just make sure we're not looking for liquidity here, which would make sense. And then we move back up. Otherwise, if we do get a good continuation to the downside, I'd say we are headed back to lows of the day, which are at, what was that, 16,461. So right around that 16.5-ish mark. Okay. Let's see if we got any news. Oh, look at this. EC Prez von der Leyen. Probably totally messed up that dude's name. That's okay. Europe has offered some 0 for 0 tariffs. What a surprise. Trump made a little. He's been on his social a lot over the past couple days about the tariffs and stuff, and he's sticking strong, especially with China. This recent one here says it all has to change, especially with China. I spoke with Japanese Prime Minister this morning. Okay. Tough but fair parameters are being set. Countries from all over the world are talking to us. I mean, this is all good news as long as number one, it's true, and number two, it gets us somewhere, right? So if all these other countries are starting to make some deals and bring down their tariffs or whatever the deal is, and then we lower ours on them, that's going to be good for everybody, including our markets, right? But we haven't heard anything specific yet. We've just heard, yes, people are coming to the table. We have not gotten any confirmation or anything like that, right? So and then today, I think so. Trump greets Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, and then they have a press conference at 2:30. That'll be interesting. Right. UK's Prime Minister Starmer, we will seek best deal with the US. UK's Prime Minister Starmer, another one here, we will rewire the state completely. Hey, let's see. It's gonna be an interesting week as all this information starts to roll in, as we start to get some idea of maybe what tariffs will stay, what won't, what the deals are. Um, yeah, it's going to be interesting, and probably over the next few weeks, honestly, not just this week. Our CPI and PPI data at the end of the week is going to be important. CPI is still expected to drop. PPI is expected to rise a little bit. But none of that information has any of the reciprocal tariffs that just went into play. Um, the data coming out this week won't reflect any of that at all yet. We'll need another month or two before we get um, the data that reflects those tariffs, if they're still there by then, right? So that's why, again, still a whole bunch of uncertainty in the market. We have no idea what's going to happen. And the more uncertainty we have for longer, the more downside or sideways trading we'll get. That's my opinion, not financial advice. All right. I personally am of the opinion that all of this is going to work out for everyone in the end, even if it takes the year. Let's say we do go into a little recession, you know, I'd say that, that would happen probably fairly soon, maybe for the rest of 2025, maybe the first, second quarter of 2026, we come out of it if we do go into one, and then we have a lot of room to move to the upside and then continue higher, right? That's what happens usually after each recession that we get. Recession really is the only way that prices actually decrease. It's not inflation that it's not the decrease in inflation that decreases prices. Inflation is just the rate of change in prices, but it's always positive if you think about it. Even if we get down to our goal, which is 2% inflation, that means that every year prices increase by 2%. The cost of living increases by 2%. So inflation would have to be negative in order for prices to go backwards. That's how that works. But a recession could cause prices to reduce because nobody's buying anything. It's supply and demand. If people continue to spend money, prices will not come down. If people stop spending money, then prices could come down. It's just simple supply and demand. Tariffs could cause people to stop spending. Depends on whether the company decides to take the tariffs and eat them in their own margin or pass the costs along to the consumer. The problem with that is the consumers are pretty strapped right now. So companies may not be able to pass that cost to the consumer, because if they try, then their products will not be bought, and then they'll be forced to reduce prices. So it's like, which one happens? And over the past couple of years, the consumer has been pretty strong. Although now we're starting to, well, a few months ago, actually, we were starting to see savings and things like that decrease. But now people are starting to put more money away, which may or may not mean that they're spending less because they're worried that we're going to go into a recession. But the only way to get prices to actually decrease is for people to stop spending money, for people to stop buying products. And then, of course, it's only going to be the unnecessary products that you see um, prices come down in. People are always going to be buying groceries, rent, housing, all of that stuff is probably not going to change. A little bit of a bounce here. So we did push past our previous lows here. Looks like we grabbed some liquidity. We're moving back up to the upside here. Pretty decent, strong move here. So at this point here, my plan would be for previous highs here or today's high, which isn't really much further. And then we can see how price reacts once we get to today's highs. We either bounce back off of this or we push through. So we'll make our plan based off of that. If we push through, we'll make sure it's not a liquidity grab, and we're going to get sent back further. If we get a retest and bounce, or we just sweep liquidity and continue to move higher, then we can look for some longs maybe. If we do get a bounce here, this would be a good place to try for some shorts. Again, with this market, I think we are in an environment where scalping might be a little bit better. You get in and get out quicker because your movements are, you know, pretty rapid here and direction can change at any point in time. So maybe you look for a 1-to-1 or something like that and take your profits. Pretty strong move back to the upside here. Okay. Lay down. See if we got any more news. EU's trade chief Sefcovic says our U.S. partners know that we are willing to engage. Hungary opposes EU counter tariffs against the U.S. So some European countries don't want to follow suit here. Let's just make a deal and be done with it. Morgan Stanley downgrades U.S. mid-cap banks to inline from attractive. Okay. Earnings season will be interesting as we come into that again. We'll start to see some of the outlook, I think, is what's going to be the important part of earnings season this time around, is to see what the outlook for these companies are going to be based on the tariffs, and whether they're still there or not by then. But I think that's going to be very interesting to see, is what the outlooks are within earnings season this time around. You may or may not get to see some of the, you know, margins be affected. I think it's a little too early still, but really it's going to be the outlook. I think that's going to be huge in earnings season. Um, this one coming. Nice V-shaped recovery here. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, we are pushing. Let's get to today's highs. I like that. See on the 15-minute, very, very strong push to the upside here. That's nice. Just looking at a missed opportunity back here. Just studying what might have been a good place to get in here. We pushed past here, um, and then slowed down significantly, right? It's also a decrease in volume with these, especially these two candles here as we push past. Came back up here pretty strong. The following candle wasn't able to break any of the previous ones. So this candle here might have been a good place to take a long position. Of course, everything is easier in hindsight, right? But I'm just looking for things that I can recognize in the future at these key levels. So I like to study where we're at. So here we are at today's high. And this is the last candle of our 15-minute, right? Yeah, it is. So this might actually be a pretty good indication here that we might be pushing further. Depends on how this candle closes. Very strong push back to the upside. In a single 15-minute candle, we overtook all of this. Okay, didn't quite close, but we're there. Yeah, I think we're gonna continue pushing higher. So I think what I would like to see is a retest here. If we hold the retest, then maybe I'll take a long position. It doesn't need to be much. I only need one contract to make a fairly small move in order to finish this challenge. This is a strong push past a key level with volume. This looks good for a continuation. We do have previous day low here, so this is where we closed on Friday, or the low at least of Friday. This might be another area where we may bounce off of, though. So this particular zone here might be an interesting zone to watch very carefully because we could push up here, but then get rejected again. When you have two key levels that are so close, what do you do? Well, or we could just be grabbing liquidity again and trading sideways. We just overtook the two previous candles here. All right, let's see. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if we start to set up a little support here, maybe based off of what we have back here. So we take a look at the 15-minute chart. You can see very strong push back up to highs of the day. We didn't quite close above highs of the day. We peaked past it, and now we're retesting this area here, which doesn't look like a bad area for some liquidity possibly. So we'll have to see. If we bounce around here for a little bit, we may actually continue to the upside, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Wouldn't really surprise me at all to get some consolidation here after this big move. So we shall wait. So we had a nice volume spike on this candle here to push past today's highs. I know this seemed to be like a pretty decent move backwards, but there's a decrease in volume on the way down here. So yeah, we might be holding here. Doesn't look bad. My problem is I don't want to get stuck in some consolidation up here. I also don't want to get a big bounce off of Friday's lows. So I don't know if this is the greatest area to take a long position in, especially when you have so much downside. That's my thought. And then the fact that we did push past, but then we came right back below today's highs. So I want to see what kind of movement we get here. If we do get a little bit of consolidation, that'd probably be better. See what happens here. The struggle. So futures is very new for me. And so we have time and sales I've used before, but then you have the DOM, which I've never seen before. And I was watching some videos over the weekend to try to learn how this plays, a part in trading futures. And like anything else with trading, there's so many different explanations out there. Um, but I understand the fact that, it tells you how many contracts are sitting at a certain price. And, if the contracts start to grow or lessen, you can kind of look for particular moves off of that. And so I'm watching the DOM right now, and this thing is moving so fast that you can't see any of the numbers. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, what? How can you ever? Maybe in other sessions that move slower, that have less volume and whatnot, you can, you know, watch this, I guess. But this thing is just flipping up and down, and you can't even see the number of contracts that are at each uh, price point because they're changing so rapidly. And so to me, it's like, how is this useful at all? Just as a being real here, right? And I'm trying to understand something that's new for me. And I get, like I said, I get the idea, but this thing is moving so rapidly, you can't see anything. So I don't understand how that's helpful. And again, maybe people are trading different sessions that move slower. I can see that, but right now, nope. It doesn't even show me. It doesn't even really show me the contracts for. There's really only like one or two of the price points. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. All right. You're starting to get some consolidation here around highs of the day. Still looks pretty bullish though. Oh, I think I saw a six. There we go. Nice push past previous highs right up to Friday's low, and we are pushing past. Okay. This is better, right? So we get some confirmation of some continuation, and now we can look maybe for some positions here, providing that we don't get a quick turnaround and plummet right back to the other side, right? But this is very, very strong move past two key points, really. And oh, wow. What happened? Did something happen? Did we get some news or something? The EU is really trying to fight back here. I don't know if the market likes what it's seeing here. I don't know. Am I missing something? This had to be something that kicked this off here. Now we're getting like pauses again. This was happening on Friday too, where price would just stop. I heard also something over the weekend that there were a whole bunch of margin calls starting to come in too. Whoopsies. A 50% correction is probable. Why this veteran stock trader is 100% in cash. I mean, it's not cash, not a bad place to be right now, honestly. Like, I mean, look at these movements. This is pretty crazy. In a single minute candle, we're moving like 500 points in one candle. Huge volume came in on that also. Huge volume came in on this. We're still pushing. So we're getting a little bit of a rally here, which some people said we might be getting. Everything's moving up right now. The Dow's moving up, S&P's moving up, the Nasdaq, obviously we're watching that. Look at it. We're reaching right for our bear market territory line. Look at this. Look at this. All right. What do you think here? Are we bouncing off of bear market territory? Are we bouncing and coming back down? Or is the market saying, no, we don't want to be here? And we're paused again. This is just entertaining. I'm not trading off of this at all. This is crazy. No way. This little puppy needs to settle down before we get involved. Are we bouncing? Are we? Look at this. So we went from the lows here, I believe, were what, 25%. This line here represents 20%. We just moved basically 5% in the NASDAQ very, very quickly. Maybe 3%. We'll call it 3% between these two 15-minute candles here. Right up to our bear market territory line here, which represents, like I just said, the 20% pullback from all-time highs. Now the question is, are we going to bounce off of this and back down to the low side, or the market does not want to be in said bear market territory? The Dow is up, is that 400, almost 500 points. Getting a little struggle there. Interesting. Let's look at what the market is pricing in for Fed rate cuts now. So we're sitting at 61.7% of no cut, 38.3% of a 0.25% cut. Still pushing. Do, 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 do. So for June, they're not pricing in anything but cuts right now. There's not even a possibility of a no cut in June right now, as of right now. Right now, we're sitting at 58.3% of a 25 basis point cut, 39.6% of a 50 basis point cut. And there's even a 2.1% chance of, what is that, a 75 basis point cut. And then even more in July. So the market's starting to price in more cuts than what we were originally coming into the year thinking. I think we were pricing in 2 cuts for the year when we came into 2025. Then the Fed basically put a squash to that and said 1 to yeah, 1. Then we started getting all the tariff talks and this and that, and then we were pricing in no cuts for a short period of time. And now the market is pricing in like 3 or 4 cuts. It's a possibility. It's a possibility that the Fed comes out and does an emergency cut too, depending on how far this all goes, which would give some relief, at least to the markets and to the consumer. Hmm. Trying to see if there's anything that recently came out news wise that pushed the market like that. There had to be something. So, okay. S&P 500 turns positive after early bear market foray as Trump says he's staying course on tariffs. I mean, I guess if the market knows what's going to happen, then they can price that in, right? The market doesn't really care, I don't think. And not to say that it doesn't care, but it would rather know whether it's good or bad than not know. And I think we've had a lot of this downside here because we just didn't know. Too much uncertainty. But if we get some certainty, then the market can start pricing things in 6 months down the road. Hmm. That's interesting. I feel like this is quite the rally here on Trump saying he's staying the course. Bill Ackman warns of economic nuclear winter. Nuclear as the market rallies. Doesn't look like we were able to maintain above our bear market territory line here. We're just losing everything we just gained here. So let's see here. Boom. Come on. Give me my measure tool. So we moved 6.43%. So we took off there. We gave about half of that back already. Let's see, from where we tested lows of the day, 10% move there. Mm. And now we're giving it back. Now we're giving it back. Latest news. Gold is up. How is gold doing? It's GC. That makes sense. A little bit of a pullback here, but we're still, gold is still moving higher. That's a good thing as far as recession is concerned. Because gold doesn't typically do well in recessions. Yeah. Go back here. We just gave it all back. Can I see the VIX here? Does it show me? Nope. How about over here? Oh, the VIX. The VIX is up 6.4%. Yeah, the VIX looks like it took off like a rocket also here. Yeah. Maybe if I do trade today, I'll switch over to the practice account because I don't want to let this volatility take me out on the actual challenge account here. And the other thing is I have to be careful with the movements too because I can't gain too much. I can only be at I have to be under 1500 for this next trade in order for me to pass the challenge with the 50% consistency rule. So with the volatility here, wherever the orders end up getting filled, even if it hits take profit, if it goes above that, it's not like I fail the challenge, but I'd have to keep trading and make very, very tiny challenge wins in order for the 50% consistency to come down to where it needs to be in order for me to pass the challenge. So it's almost um, it might just be worth waiting for some of this volatility to slow down a little bit, and maybe we just put some reps in the practice account. Not that there's really anywhere. I mean, right here, maybe kind of retesting previous day lows, Friday's lows. See what happens here. I just don't want to take any chances. No, you have to go sit. I'm trying to concentrate. Thank you. So we take a look at the 15-minute here. You can see we're getting almost the same pullback as we did on the way up here. And this is actually higher volume on the way back down. So we built some volume on the way up here. This last 15-minute candle here peaked even higher as far as volume goes. So I would say that we probably continue to the downside, but let's see if we get a bounce off of today's highs. If we were going to get a bounce, it'd probably be off of today's highs. Um, Otherwise, we probably continue lower. I mean, are we going to just bounce around here now? That is the question. We might be getting a bounce off of these highs here. Yeah, it's still pretty. Well, could go either way, really. trying to watch the DOM here, and I think I'm seeing more sell contracts coming in than buy contracts. I think. Well, maybe some buying starting to come in now too. This moves so fast. I can't. All right. So we may have gotten a bounce off of the previous highs here, back here. All right. Couldn't quite breach this wick here. I might have some liquidity up here. Pretty decent rejection here. All right, progress to the downside. Hmm. So far, we're still holding the high of the day from previous session. So far. Okay. Still making progress to the downside here. So you're watching this area pretty closely here because you can see on the 15-minute here where you had some liquidity here, right? You can see where we waked up a couple times here, a liquidity sweep here, but we pushed through that. Now we're coming back in. So let's see if we hold this area or we sweep through. Right, that kind of aligns here. So we might be breaking through here. Maybe not. So we got 3 minutes left here for this 15-minute to close. We're still respecting this area here. Yeah. Long and short positions are starting to reverse here, at least on this platform. I think this is going to be probably one of the most difficult trades for me to take. Because I almost wanted to go long here. I don't think I want to do it in this account, though. I don't know how much upside you'd have here. Maybe back up to this zone here. Maybe. If not further. Yeah. So many points of interest right in this area here. That's part of the issue. For me, anyway. Although, I mean, if you just simplify it, very large move up, pretty decent move back to the downside, a little consolidation. We came into what I would call some liquidity here. We held, and now we're pushing back out. And so that 15-minute didn't close terribly. A little, indecision, but I knew there had to be something to get some kind of rally like that. So here, let me put this up on the broadcast. There we go. There you go. Seemed to be some fake news that tariffs were supposed to be put on hold for 90 days. That makes more sense. And then they figured out it was fake news. Nice. Thanks for that. Yeah. And then they figured out it was fake news. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's right there. We watched it happen. Okay, so let's see here. We came down into some liquidity. We got a little bounce out. This may not be enough, right? Maybe our next time in, we push out. Thanks for doing that research on that. That makes a whole lot more sense. All right, let's see what we're getting here. So still lower highs, right? Still lower lows. So this next push may take up the rest here, and then we continue to the downside, but we'll see. It's not necessarily, you know, it still could go either way here. This is one of those particular places where we can move in any direction still. Not too much volume on the way up here, starting to build volume on the way back down. That's actually, let's see how this candle closes. If this candle closes bullish, that might be a nice entry. Risky, but what isn't, right? So I'm not going to take a trade, but let's say we took a long on the close of that. We'll just target previous high there. This is just for my purposes, just testing out myself. I'm not in a trade here because I'm too chicken to take one right now. So I like to do this sometimes just to kind of test myself to see if I'm reading the markets appropriately, especially with timing wise. I think one of the biggest issues I have is timing my entries. So I've been really trying to hold off on entering into trades until I see some confirmation, I guess. And so what I saw here, and I don't know if this is going to play out, but we came into liquidity here. We bounced back out, decent push up. We came down and we basically bounced off of the liquidity zone, right? It's kind of the same thing back here. Closed at the same level, which happened to be above these highs here also, with a decently bullish candle coming out of that. So that would be the entry there, and just targeting previous highs. Now, whether we make it there or not, who knows? But that's just what I was seeing, just as an explanation. Um, Even if we don't pass here, because there seems to be some liquidity sitting here also, uh, if we can make it to previous highs, then there's this is a decent 2-to-1 trade if we make it. You can probably, honestly, once we had this candle move here, because of the risk involved and the volatility, you could probably move your stop loss up to break even at this point. So let's do that. So we'll say this is a break even trade now. Whether it works out or not is just testing theory. This previous candle wick down to the previous highs here, just about, got rejected. So we still look okay. It's whether or not we have enough to head back up to this high here is the question, but the trade looks okay so far. You only need one of these a day. Looks good on the 15-minute chart. Pop over to that to show you. Right? Looks good on the 15-minute chart. And there it is. TP. Okay. So just confirmation that I'm still seeing things right. I'm starting to have a little bit more of a dynamic strategy, I guess. I don't even know if you can call it that. Um, I'm starting to change the way that I see things in the market, and it's been working out a little bit better than having a strict strategy, which I was very much a proponent of. Um, but the markets are very, very fluid and dynamic. So it does make sense to me that you have to also be, fluid and dynamic as well. And then the markets change also, right? We go through seasons, if you will. And so a strategy that works, specific strategy that works in one season may not work in another season. And so, like, what do you do? What I've just been using is um, key levels, which I've been marking out daily, and liquidity. And so I'm starting to be able to see where liquidity is sitting by looking at the charts, where before I really wasn't, nor was I really looking for it. But the longer that I stare at these charts, the easier it is to kind of see where some of that is sitting, and then add that to your key levels, and um, you can make little trades like this one would have worked out. I'm not mad I didn't take the trade. No, no, no. I'm still a little chicken. I'm so close. I don't want to F it up. So, but this is just, I like to do this sometimes, just plot one out on the chart and to test myself, to test what I'm seeing, to give me a little bit more confidence so that maybe the next time I see a setup, I'll feel less chicken to take the trade. But this is nice. That worked out well, right? It worked out well. Let me move the stop loss. No, is it not going to let me now? Oh, well. Stop loss was originally It's not even on that. Here we go. Originally below this wick here. Right, so we got a nice 2 to 1 there. Once we had this breakout candle here, move the stop loss to break even, risk-free trade. This happened nice and quick, in and out. That was would have been a nice trade. Yeah, so a little bit more confirmation as to what I'm seeing, you know, and it makes sense. It takes so long to become a profitable trader, and it's not because I mean, there's various reasons. Obviously, it depends on each individual, but I think a big part of it is you need to put the hours in at staring at charts to be able to pick up on these little things that, um, being brand new, you would have no idea what anybody was talking about. I didn't in the beginning, watching videos of people saying, "Oh, liquidity is here and here," and it's like, "Where? How did you see that?" You know, but over time, watching it more and more and seeing these same kind of setups over and over again, then you can start to understand it just takes time. Unfortunately, takes time. So you got to put in the time. Just like anything else, you got to put the hours in. Cool. That was nice. I want to redo this here so that I can talk about this in the post. So that would have been the entry. Stop loss was just below the wick there. We were targeting previous highs. 2 to 1 trade. Okay. Now we can put that in our recap video. Cool. Nice. Confirmation. Doing things like this is kind of it's kind of nice because one, you're doing it in the live charts uh, instead of back testing and doing it in replay, which is really not the same. The candles don't move the same, even if you have it on the real time. Um, but you do it this way, then if it works out and it continues to work out for you, it gives you more confidence in yourself and in your strategy or whatever. And if you have confidence in your trades, then you are more likely to let them play out and take your profits at appropriate levels, than you are to just get into any trade that you have low confidence in, and then you'll be sitting here in anxiety the entire time, and you might end up closing the trade before it plays out and whatever else. And I say that because that was me, 100%. You get into a trade, and as soon as you hit that buy or sell button, your heart rate starts, going, and you're just sitting here staring, and your mind is telling you one thing and whatever. So the more you do stuff like this and practice, the more confidence you have in yourself, and the more confidence you have in yourself, the more likely you are to let things play out and succeed. I'd be interested to see where we close today. I'm not going to be here to see it, but I'll look later on to see if we close above our 20% mark here or if we stay below here. Like, are we going to just consolidate in here now, or is the market going to want to close above? We'll see. Any more news? Latest news. Let's see. Bank of America stock has tumbled enough to look like a buy, analyst says. U.S. steel stock rises as Trump orders review on Nippon deal. Economists now say a dire economic slowdown has already begun. But that may not be necessarily a bad thing if y'all want prices to come down. Can't have your cake and eat it too. That's what you need to understand. So, which is it? You know, you want prices to remain where they are, and then we don't have a slowdown, or we go through some hardship, hopefully some prices decrease, and then we're better off. Apple's having a hard time, huh? I think all the Mag 7 are falling. Da, 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 da. Where did you see that article or news or whatever? Is that something that just came across somewhere? I don't even see that on here. Was it was it such a fake news thing that they took it down? I don't see anybody reporting that. That's Market Watch. Let's see if it's on here. Oh, okay. Trump to pause tariffs. Let's see what this says. The article here says a degree of optimism has gripped Wall Street following an unconfirmed rumor on social media indicating that Trump was considering a 90-day pause. Look at that. The market moved 10% on some social media rumor. Well, boy, are we living in different times. Jeez. That's funny. Mm-hmm. All right. I don't know that I'm gonna hang out much longer, honestly, because I don't think I'm gonna take any trades in my challenge account today, especially now as we get later in the day. This was a really nice setup. That would have been a good one to take, but it was a nice test. So I really like Top Step's account, I don't know, background thing here. Actually, I can show you right here. So here's my trading account, my challenge here, 50K, my performance stats. There's only one trade on here, so it doesn't really, it's not much, but I like the way that it's set up. You got everything you need here. And the one thing I really like is this. This is really nice. You can kind of just see a zoomed out picture of, um, your days and your weekly totals and things like that. Obviously, again, I only have one trade on here, but over time, I can see how this would, scrolling through your months here would be a really nice, you know, picture of your trading. So this is where the account sits right now. I have to get to 3,000, but I have to do it with a 50% consistency rule. So I'm just over, which means my next trade needs to be under in order for me to hit that. So probably to be safe, I'm gonna um, go under even more just to make sure that I'm not over my 50% rule, and and then make a smaller trade afterwards to actually hit the goal, just to kind of make sure that I'm where I need to be. And that's spread out. Go back. So that's probably what I'm going to do there, just to make sure that I don't overshoot my 50% rule. Now, I don't think that your account fails. I think that you just have to continue trading until you hit your 50% consistency. Um, but I don't want to be over to a point where I have to make a whole bunch of trades to bring that percentage down. So I'll probably set a take profit at like 1400 just to make sure. And then my next trade will, you know, get past the 3000 mark and then also be under the 50% consistency rule. Then I'll have passed this challenge. And then the next step is you need 5 days of green trades with a minimum of $200 um, gain. Doesn't have to be consecutive 5 days, just needs to be 5 days total of green trades above 200 bucks in order for you to take your first payout, which I'm totally cool with, honestly, because once you take your first payout, from what I understand with Top Step, um, your uh, your threshold for failing moves to zero, which means if you go below your 50,000, um, that's where your fail point is. So what they suggest is, you build your account up a little bit and you only take half of your profits, or up to half, I should say, to give yourself some wiggle room. So my plan is to get above 5,000. So I'd have 55K, and then anything above that, will be profits for me, but at least I'll have a $5,000 buffer so that I don't lose um, the account. That'll give me a good, risking between, around $500 per trade. That'll give me a good cushion to make sure that my account stays active. And then I think what I'm going to do after that is like a 75-25. So I'll only take 75% of my profits above the 5,000 and leave 25% in so that my cushion and my wiggle room is also continuing to grow, always leaving me more and more wiggle room. I think that's the smart way to do that. So you could do that in 5 trades easily, right? If you're targeting, uh, say you make, 1,000 to 1,500 a trade, um, that'd be easy to hit within the 5 days. You can build your account up to like $10,000. And then once you reach that mark, you take half, nice $5,000 pay. Um, and then you leave yourself $5,000 worth of cushion room. Then you continue to put money into that, and then you continue to take your payouts. Seems like a decent plan to keep your account alive. So that is my plan. I think it's pretty good. Once I pass, I don't want to lose it. It's taken a very long time, but I think we're getting there. I think things are clicking, finally. So we're getting there. We're going to play it safe. I don't want to take any chances in this kind of wild market. Here we go again. We're getting another. See, things like this, right? Um, so we're gonna take our time. We're gonna do this right. We're gonna pass this challenge, and we're gonna set ourselves up for success. And then afterwards, you can get another account. Top Step does do uh, trade copying, but only on limit orders. So you can't do a market order. It won't copy that. It'll only copy limit orders. So if you wanted to use their copier, you'd have to set limits for your buy-ins and stuff, which is doable. But a 50K account to start off with, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. This was where did we go from here? 423. Let's just call it 425. 56. We can call it 55. So that's what, a 30? Oh, no, oh, let's do some math here. So 17,760. So that was a 339 point move, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm still getting used to how the contracts work. And I believe the NQ contracts are $20 per point, right? That seems like a lot. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here. I mean, it could be. So 339 points, I believe, because a dollar is a point, right? Again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I am not positive. So we move 339 points here. Huh. Let me do it this way. 339 points. A single contract is $20 per point. So that was a $6,780 profit on that trade. Clearly, I would not have been able to go that far within the challenge. Once you're out of the challenge, there's no consistency rule. I'm pretty sure. So that would have been nice. I think I did that right. I'm not positive. This contract thing is new to me. But I think that's right. I think it's $20 for every point is what the contract is for NQ. And I'm pretty sure a point is $1, basically, movement. So 339 points times 20, 6,700. I think. That would have been a really nice trade for the day. Bye, all done. But we got to get there first. We got to take our time, do it right, make sure we get there. All right. So we came back down. Stop that. We peaked outside this time of our little liquidity zone. And now, depending on how these next couple can, this is still like an uptrend here, though. This little tiny. So the problem that I would have this time is you get a lot of sell pressure here on the way back down. So do you have enough to continue to the upside? You know, again, we barely made this trade. Oh, this is not even right. My bad. That's what we targeted. So we were looking at 272 points. Redo. Okay, 5,400. That's what that trade would have been. That's accurate. It's weird that like changed. Anyway. Yeah. Yeah, see, so we're getting some sell pressure again. So this may not hold this time, right? Tried, but we may be overtaking whatever liquidity we have here this time, and then we get our push to the downside. Maybe. So you can see the difference here, right? Strong bearish candle that held versus a bearish candle that bounced, right? We'll just see how this plays out. If this ends up falling through, I'm obviously not doing anything more today. I think I'm just going to sit with my practice trade here. I'm okay with that. And, but I just want to see how this plays out here. More so for myself. Um, Again, just testing my theories. I mean, you could almost say, no. Yeah, I mean, either way, you would need confirmation of closing below these lows here, right? So even though we wicked here, the fact that we came through and made lower lows, even though it's a wick, tells me that there's a chance that this is going to continue here. But for confirmation, you would need a close below here or outside of this area. If you get that, you're either going to get a run back to the downside, or what would be nice is you get a push and a retest, and then you move down. But with the way today's been going, I wouldn't be surprised that if you do break and close below here, you just get a run back down to your lows. So let's just see what happens. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to do my recap video, and then I will see you all tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll have a little bit more confidence in finishing this challenge. We'll see. Nope, it's not ready yet. Rainy, rainy, rainy. Let's see what the weather's like for the rest of the week. Just because I want to know. Yeah. Back down to some chilly weather. Tomorrow's going to be sunny, though. Tomorrow, Wednesday, sunny. Yeah, it's April. Rain, rain, rain. Oh, next week's supposed to be beautiful. That is nice. My daughter's on April break. We could do some things. Nice. I'll take the rain this week. So very little volume right now. Very little volume. Majority of the platform is in shorts right now. Looks like they hopped in here. 17,133 is the average short price, which is right here. So it looks like a lot of people jumped in on this wick out here. Some people starting to bail out here. So that's the other thing there. You might have had a little fake out here, and now you're getting some more liquidity from your shorts. But we'll see. We'll see who wins. There's still a majority of the platform here is shorting. You know, I don't blame them. You might get your flush here in the next minute, one way or the other, either a flush or a move to the upside here. But this is the last candle in the 15-minute candle here. And you can see where we're sitting. We're either going to close stronger or we're going to close up above this area here. All right. So we got 30 seconds here. You might catch a move in this candle. See if the seller's got enough. If this candle turns bearish, hey, It looks pretty bullish. Well, okay. Anyway, I think that's going to be it for me today, everyone. I'm going to go do my recap video and get that out at 2 o'clock today. The recap should come out 2 o'clock every day. And that's going to be it. So just watch the volatility. Obviously, is extremely high. Again, the uncertainty is extremely high, especially when we get these rumors that come out that may come to fruition, may not, right? The more uncertainty we have in the markets, the more volatile they're going to be. Um, so just be careful. It's going to be an interesting couple of days, couple of weeks. Be very, very, very picky with your trades, is all I got to say. And stay safe and stay green. I'll see you in the recap, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live session. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join the free Discord. Links in the description down below. See you all tomorrow.